Hello everyone, Miss Meek here, and today we are going to be talking about order of operations. So this is the order in which you solve one big long math problem. And so there's a specific order. You can't just jump in and add or subtract or multiply or divide however you want. There is a certain order to doing this so that you get the correct answer. These problems can be really tricky because even if you solve them incorrectly, they're going to give you a nice, pretty answer that you're going to think is right and it's actually wrong. And so it's really, really important that you follow the steps, follow the order correctly, make yourself a little checklist, and go use some of the strategies that I'm going to be going over in this video. So first of all, what's the order? Well, one way to help you remember the order is GEMA. GEMA, it stands for grouping symbols, exponents, multiplication, division, and then adding and subtraction. So let's talk about what all these different things are. First of all is grouping symbols. Grouping symbols are going to be your parentheses, your brackets. Other types of brackets may look like this as well. So any type of grouping symbol that's grouping two numbers or more together, that is going to be what your grouping symbols are. In 6th grade, it's mainly parentheses as our grouping symbols, but please don't be surprised if you see some of these other ones that I have drawn here. Exponents is what we have been talking about recently. If you see an exponent in your math, you will solve that second. So you start here at the top, and you work your way down. So it's almost like you're on the top floor of a building, and as you go down the elevator, you're stopping at every floor and doing these in this order. So again, the first thing you're going to check is grouping symbols. The second thing you're going to check for is exponents and then solve them. Remember, this is 5 times 5 times 5, which equals 125. It is not 5 times 3. It is repeated multiplication. The third thing that you're going to check for is multiplication and division. So remember, there's multiple ways to represent multiplication. You can write it like this. You can write it with the X. You can even write it with parentheses, so don't be confused. These parentheses here are not grouping symbols. They're representing multiplication. Also remember, for division, I can write division with a division symbol like this, but I can also write it as a fraction like this as well. Now notice this note down here that I wrote right here. It says do whichever comes first, left to right. So when you go to check for multiplication or division, there is not a specific order for that step. It is whichever you come first to in that specific problem. So some problems I'll multiply first in, or when I get to that step. In other problems, when I get to that third step, I will be dividing first. It really just depends on the problem. And then our last thing that we have to check for, our fourth thing is adding and subtracting. Of course, that's addition, a plus sign, or subtraction sign there. And it has the same rule as multiplying and dividing. Once I get to this last step, I do them in whichever order I come to them first. So in some problems, I'm going to be adding, and then in other problems, I'll subtract before I add. It really depends on the problem. So unfortunately, guys, the only way to get good at this is to practice it a lot and see a lot of examples. So that is what we're going to do for the remainder of this video. I have some examples for us to work through. Now, what I like to do is to make myself a little checklist. So I write GEMA at the top of every problem that I do before I even start it, and I go through my checklist checking for each thing. So the first thing that I have to check for is grouping symbols. Do I have any grouping symbols? Yes, I do. I have these parentheses right here. I underline what I want to solve, okay, like I did. I rewrite everything that I'm not solving, and then the only thing that I do is I solve the thing I underlined. So 4 plus 3. I have not touched this 5 to the second power. I have not touched this multiplying by 2. So notice that the only thing I changed as I rewrite my problem is 4 plus 3. That is what I did, okay? I check. I don't have any other grouping symbols, so grouping symbols are done. I put a check mark above the G. The next thing I have to check for is exponents. And yes, I do have some exponents right here. This, remember, is 5 times 5. 5 times 5 is 25. So I'm going to rewrite the rest of my problem. The only thing that I changed were the exponents that I solved. Everything else remained the same. I am done with exponents, so I put a check there. The next thing that I need to check for is multiplication or division. And I do have some multiplication. It's right there. So again, everything else remains the same. I'm not changing anything except for what I underlined. That's the only thing that I am solving, which is 14. Do I have any other multiplication, division? No, I don't. So I am done there. And then the last step is addition or subtraction. And I do have some addition right here. I'm going to add those numbers together and get my final answer, which is going to be 39. So there is my final answer. So you can see step by step how I did everything. This is how you show your work. As you show your work, your math should be getting smaller and smaller, kind of making like an upside down triangle or almost like a gemstone or something, an upside down triangle or a slice of pizza type shape, because as you solve math, your problem is getting shorter and shorter because you're solving pieces of the math problem. But this is how you show your work. If you try to do this in your head, you will make mistakes. I promise you'll either do something in the wrong order or you'll make a mistake and get confused and then again do something in the wrong order. It happens all the time. So please trust me. Show your work, show each step. That way we can find your error if you make an error, and it also will help you keep everything straight in your mind. Let's go ahead and take a look at the next one, number 2 here. The first step is grouping symbols. I see I have some grouping symbols right here. I'm going to rewrite the rest of my problem that I'm not touching yet. The only thing that I'm solving is those grouping symbols, and that's going to be 21. All right, so I'm done with grouping symbols. Do I have any exponents? I do not have any exponents in this problem, so I'm just going to go ahead and check it off. Multiplication or division. So in this problem, I have both. I have division and I have multiplication. Remember, I'm going to do whichever one comes first in this problem. And in this problem, it is division. So I'm going to divide that. 21 divided by 7 is 3. Everything else in my problem remains the same. I'm not doing anything else to the rest of my problem. Now, I still have some multiplication to take care of, so that's going to be my next step. 3 times 2 is 6. Again, I did not do anything to that plus 21 over there on the side. I am done with multiplication and division. I took care of all of it, and all I have left is this addition right here. So my final answer is going to be 27. Again, as you look at my math gets shorter and shorter as I go down, making like this upside down triangle shape. It should, if you're doing things correctly, every step should lead you closer to the answer. Let's go ahead and do a few more here, a little bit harder. So again, before I even start my project or my problem, I'm going to write GEMA. Now on number four is a special case. I actually am going to have a GEMA on the top and also on the bottom, okay, because this is a longer problem that involves a fraction of sorts. But we're going to go ahead and start with number 3 here. For number 3, do I have any grouping symbols? No, I do not see any exponents or grouping symbols, parentheses, anything like that. Do I have any exponents? No, I don't have any exponents or anything like that. Do I have any multiplication? Yes, I do, right there on the end. Everything else stays the same. I'm not changing anything else other than solving for that 10 times 10, which is 100. Okay, it's the only thing that I changed. I don't have any more multiplication or division, so I'm done with that. And now I have to check for addition and subtraction. In this problem, I have both. And so in this problem, I'm going to do whichever one comes first. And for this one, addition comes first right here. So I'm going to solve that part first. So 14 plus 5 is 19. Everything else remains the same. I still have addition and subtraction in this problem. So again, I'm going to do whichever one comes first in my list of numbers. And this time it is subtraction. So 19 minus 2 is 17. Everything else stays the same. And then my last step is one more multiplication problem. And so my final answer is 117. Again, you can see that upside down triangle as my math gets shorter as I get closer to that answer. Now, number 4 is a very special case here. Number 4 is a two-step problem. So I'm going to have to solve the top, and then I have to see if there's anything I need to do on the bottom. And then the very last step is it's written as a fraction. This could possibly need to be simplified or even divided. So I'm going to first start with the top here. So I'm first starting with the top part right here. So this is what I'm solving first. Do I have any grouping symbols? I know a lot of y'all are thinking, yes, you do. They're right here, okay? But remember, those grouping symbols actually don't have any math happening inside of them. Those parentheses are being used for a multiplication problem. So the only time that I have grouping symbols is when it kind of looks like, like this. You see how there's math going on inside of there? On my problem here, there isn't any math happening inside there. It's representing multiplication. So I don't have any grouping symbols. I don't have any exponents up here on the top. I do have multiplication. I do have division. And in this problem, multiplication comes first. So I'm going to do that first. So again, I'm rewriting everything else because I have not touched anything else in this problem. Again, when we start trying to do too many things at once, this is when we start getting confused about what's going on. Now, I still have some division, so that's going to be my next step. So again, everything else stays the same. The only thing that I'm solving is that part right there. That's 7. And then the last step is, I don't have any more multiplication or division. My last step is to add. So I'm going to add those two numbers together, and so I get 35. Again, I haven't done anything on the bottom yet. Now, there actually isn't anything to solve on the bottom. I just have a 5 down there. Sometimes they will add more things for you to do there on the bottom. So in this one, I don't actually need this GEMA just because there's only one number down there on the bottom. And I'm going to simplify this fraction, or I'm going to divide by 5. Because I know 35 can be divided by 5, so I'm going to divide this out to get my answer. And so my final answer here is going to be 7. So just because you have a scary fraction looking problem doesn't mean that it actually is scary. Remember, writing numbers as fraction is also a division problem, and that's what's happening there on number 4. All right, please don't get frustrated with order of operations. It just takes a lot of practice to get used to doing things in a specific order the right way. So please be patient with yourself. Rewatch this video if you need to. Check out the video on exponents if you need a review over that. And keep on practicing. That is the best way to get good at this. I hope that this video has helped, and I will talk to you later. Bye.